ladies and gentlemen, I want you to welcome with me Jeremy Fenderson, who's the Senior Director of Strategy at Adquadrant, one of my favorite partners for sure. We have Myah Christenson, the Affiliate and Creative Partnerships Manager for one of my favorite protein drink brands, SEEQ. We have Tamanna Bawa, who is the Tech Partner Manager at Triple Whale. We have some big players in the house, folks. And then last and definitely not least, Jeremy Ding, the CEO and co-founder of Euka AI, your place to go and find creators on TikTok Shop. So, ladies, gentlemen, how are we feeling today? You ready to drop some knowledge?
Amazing. Let's get it.
Yes.
Yes. I want everyone to know Jeremy Fenderson had an idea that we should have walkout music, and his choice was Low by Flo Rida, and I wish that we had that playing. I want to start by asking, so Myah, you're in the weeds, you're on the brand side, you understand, and it's so relevant to you how brands like panic sometimes. They're like, all right, I know I need to get on TikTok Shop. It just seems like such a daunting task. So for brands that haven't launched yet, like, what do you think is the minimal viable setup that they can get away with without burning cash? Because I know it's just such a daunting experience for lots of folk, but you guys have done it at SEEQ and you guys have absolutely crushed it.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm going to speak in terms of the affiliate and creator side of things. And so when you're starting, get really clear on who your target consumer is. You want that to match your target customer that you are targeting on your D2C side, Shopify and whatnot. And then you want to go target those types of creators on TikTok Shop, right? So because as soon as your creators replicate your actual customer, they're going to be creating content that's so much more authentic and genuine. And so those testimonials are going to do better. That content's going to sell more because it's genuinely real. So get really clear about who that target creator is. And then from there, however much you can scale in terms of samples, but be really, really diligent on who you're approving and who you're not. From there, I think a lot of brands will start with the spray and pray method, and that is just going to burn cash. So just get really clear in who it is you want to be working with. From there, scale. And I think we can get into the funnel a little bit later.
Yeah, no, that is such great advice because that seems to be a persistent theme already today, right? You need to know what you're getting into before you go. So have an idea of the kind of creators that you want to work with. What is it that you're trying to get out of TikTok Shop? And on that question, Jeremy, Adquadrant has helped so many shops launch into TikTok Shop, including some of my favorite brands. What are some of the biggest mistakes that you see folks approach TikTok Shop with? Because I think a lot of folks think, oh, this is just going to be a duplicate of my D2C Shopify site. It is not. What are some of the biggest things that you've seen? And especially when they're building out their creator programs, like you're like, oh God, I wish they would just speak to me and the team at Adquadrant first, and we can save them a whole lot of grief.
100%. That's an amazing question. I think the first and the biggest mistake is they treat it like a traditional influencer marketing instead of like a performance distribution channel, right? The losing playbook is let me get 5 creators and get polished UGC and we'll see what happens, right? But the winning playbook is actually building a machine that gets the product into the hands of relevant creators and identifying the converters as fast as possible and then reallocating that budget and inventory into the visible winners. That's what you want to do. Most brands over-index on creator size, aesthetics, brand fit, and under-index on the ability to demo, right? Or conversion intent or repeatability when it comes to the format, right? Or even the ability to make 3 or 4 angles work as opposed to just one nice video, right? You really need to dial into those aspects and really get down to the numbers as opposed to maybe what a traditional influencer marketing play would look like. If you really dial into that, then you'll be ahead of most when it comes to approaching TikTok. It's a different animal and you need to treat it as such.
TLDR, do your homework. It's not enough for you to just go through the setup and thinking, oh, wow, I just did it. I put in all my products. Why is no one working with me? You need to know all this stuff before you enter into TikTok Shop. That is advice you're going to hear a lot of today. Tamanna, now Triple Whale is Shopify famous. You help folks recognize where savings can be made, where to invest and double down. What are some of the things that for brands that are just getting on TikTok Shop, they need to pay attention to? Because you guys do a lot for Shopify, but you also have a very exciting new TikTok Shop integration. What are some of the things that brands should keep in mind when they're going in TikTok Shop? Like, oh, these are the metrics that I'm going to keep high level. When I'm using Triple Whale, this is what I'm going to be looking at on my dashboard.
Yeah, good question. Okay, so I think the biggest thing that we see in the data is that brands are launching TikTok Shop before they're actually even operationally ready, right? So if they don't have the whole, if their operations aren't actually ready to take on those orders and they don't have the systems, for shipping, etc., then why go into TikTok Shop just yet? So I think the minimum setup is actually pretty simple. I mean, a product with strong margins, inventory that you can actually fulfill quickly, and just like a clear creator offer, right? So I think TikTok Shop is fundamentally a creator-driven distribution channel. So you really need to think less like a media buyer and more like a marketplace operator. So that means, competitive affiliate commissions, fast fulfillment, a product that creators actually want to talk about and actually want to promote. I think, like Maya said, you have to have something that can actually resonate with that creator and get them to talk about it to their followers in a way that actually makes sense.
I like that. Jeremy from Euka. We actually got a question right now on the chat. Somebody said, are there, look, what tools can I use to find creators on TikTok Shop? And I'm like, this is funny. You are in the right panel. But we also got another question right after that is like, as a startup business, is it better to target affiliates on TikTok Shop or maybe nano creators and then maybe think of porting it over? You're the king of finding everything on TikTok Shop. What is the secret sauce for brands just starting out? What strategy would you recommend for them to go and start finding those creators that they hope to scale with?
Great question. I think like for TikTok Shop is content platform, right? In order to be successful on TikTok Shop, I think the content volume is the number one thing you wanted to optimize for. And kind of alluding into what Maya said, right? Like in order to hit the content volume, you shouldn't like just pick random creators. You wanted to know like what kind of creators you want to work with, who is gonna be a better brand fit, right? And then based on the demographic, you wanted to reach out to as many creators as possible. And a few things I will optimize for is the category, like make sure you hit the creator in the right category, and then they have some performance history that I can refer to. You're looking at their last 30-day sales, maybe like last 6 months sales, right? To see what kind of product they have promoted, whether those products mostly in your category or they kind of like spread too thin, like doing different things in different categories. And one thing that TikTok is trying to push this year is like vertical creators, right? And then for creators like who are committed to one vertical, they usually get better signal from TikTok side. So TikTok give them more traffic. So I think there are a few things to consider. And I would say apart from those metrics, like post rate is very important for creators. If you then post multiple video per sample, right, that can quickly get you to a different level as a program build out. Like if you have like 100 creators that post 4 videos per creator, versus if you have 1,000 creators only post one video, you give out 1,000 samples. The former definitely performs better, right? So there are a few things that you want to consider as you build out your creator program here, and it's the right
So
creator you
that's
want to work with.
No, I like that because that was going to be the next question I ask you. Like, what early signals can tell you, okay, this creator can actually scale? And it seems to be kind of the volume of content. Talk to me a little bit about that. Like, what is wrong with me sending out 1,000 samples to 1,000 people because I'm trying to reach 1,000 different audiences versus finding those creators that, like Tamanna and Myah said, like, are a fit for you and having them post multiple times. But for me, the danger as a brand is, oh, well, I'm not going to get exposure to those other 999 audiences. What is the thinking there?
I think one is just on the cost side, right? Like you give out 1,000 samples. I'm not sure your cost per sample, maybe $10, $15 per sample. But for those creators to only post one video, the commitment's not there, right? Usually, like on average, from our data, you need to post at least 3 to 5 videos to have like 50% of chance have one video driving a sale. So if you just post one video, the chance of like getting a sale is very, very low. So at least you wanted to hit 3 video and above to add to see the real performance. So I think that's the things that I wanted to kind of help our brands to optimize for, right? Each creators one video is not enough. You wanted to encourage them to post more, and the more video give them more signals, and that's guides you like which creator you want to work with for the long
To
term.
work with, which one is willing to put in the work? So on that question, Myah, how do you identify the creators that are worth investing in long term versus the creators that you might just want to use for a campaign that you just came up with on like a one-off basis?
Yeah, and I almost feel like that question is a little bit of a trick question because anytime you're working with creators, you want to go into it with the mentality that this is going to be a long-term investment and relationship that you're building with them. Exactly what Jeremy was saying with, you want these creators to continuously post for you. TikTok Shop affiliates they go into the platform and it's kind of a churn and burn. So they will get your product. A lot of them will only post once and then they're going to move to the next thing. So the battle becomes pulling them into your funnel so that they continuously post and essentially building brand loyalists out of them. And so identifying which ones are worth investing in long term, anytime you're pre-seeding or sending to these creators or building a campaign around them, whatever it is, go into it each time with the idea that I'm going to be working with this person a long time, or I'm going to be continuously, I don't know, giving them content to post every month. Like just work from the beginning on building those long-term relationships, because in the end, that's just going to build a bigger foundation and a bigger community for you to work with.
And the influencers likely sense that too. Like, oh, this is not as transactional. Going back to what Sebastian was saying, this is kind of like a long-term investment. On that question, so Jeremy, we've gotten a bunch of questions about this on the chat. Jeremy from Adquadrant, when you're talking to a brand and they're launching on TikTok Shop, the brand also has like their own branded content, right? Like from their marketing team that's coming in. Sometimes they whitelist creator accounts. A lot of times they don't. What should the balance be between posting and relying on like the UGC that your affiliates and your creators are posting versus your brand's own content? And how do you align those both? Well, what advice are you giving to brands who come and ask you, well, I have my own page?
Yeah, 100%. So I think really creators are the distribution edge, right? So brand content is really conversion support as a system, right? Creators allow for reach, right? They build trust that the brand just can't get, right? And they also have angle diversification. They do this day in and day out and live and breathe the platform. So they're going to come at it from angles that the brand's not even thinking about it. I'll go back to the example where you give an adult a paperclip and they come up with 3 uses. If you give a 6-year-old a paperclip, they can come up with 500. That's how creators work. They're in it day in and day out. And then creators also provide this level of native selling that a brand cannot. Whereas from the brand side of things, they can come in with deeper product education, right? And really help you understand what it was built for and why it was made, as well as kind of proof stacking and merchandising to make the transaction feel more seamless when you finally have that aha moment to say, I really need to buy this. How do I get to it? And brands can also handle more on the objection handling side. Ideally, you have thousands of reviews and you know which ones are 1-star and you kind of get in front of those so that you can help a customer make that decision. And then retargetable assets as a library is something that brands can really help out with, right? A creator has their initial view and they flood the feed with that content, but the brand should be able to come back with really strong retargeting assets to help that go through, right? If a brand only relies on its own content, it's usually going to find a cap, right? If it relies only on creators, it becomes unstable, right? So you need a best of both worlds, both your brand content and the creator content working together.
Kind of a predictable marketing calendar. I love that. Tamanna, you mentioned this earlier and you touched on it, but what is a brand doing like $100,000 a month, for instance, on TikTok Shop? What does it look like operationally? What are they doing that others aren't? What are the key metrics that they're keeping attention to, that they're paying attention to that help them know, like, listen, I'm on the right track and this is how I am printing that money?
Yeah, good question. So I think they usually have 3 things really, really dialed in. They have a strong affiliate program. They have a consistent creator recruitment, because you kind of think of it as like this, ongoing sales, sales network of people that you have, or like a sales force essentially. And they also have high content velocity. So instead of relying on one viral video, I think just like Myah said, they're generating dozens of pieces of creator content every single week. And I think, the formats that are really working right now, they're consistently converting. They're almost like problem solution demos. I find like I also always see before and after transformations, and just overall like creator storytelling where it kind of hooks you in, tells you a little story, but you want to hear it all the way till the end. But the key in all of this is really like authenticity and content that feels native to TikTok, rather than just like, ads that you would see on other platforms or commercials that you would see on other platforms.
I love that. I love that a lot. So the 3 things to keep in mind: 1, consistent outreach to creators, consistent posting of content, and then the third?
And just content velocity.
Content velocity. There you go. And so on that question, for both Jeremy from Adquadrant, I know we have 2 Jeremys here, guys, and for Myah, what does a full funnel creative strategy look like in real life? Like an example of, all right, I've reached out, and I know we've gotten a couple questions on that on the chat. I've reached out to my creators. I found someone who looks like they would be a good fit. I've sent them the product. What does that look like from example? Jeremy, let's start with you. And then me, I would love to hear an example from SEEQ. Myah, I'm sorry. Would love to hear an example from SEEQ.
So I would say like a full funnel creative strategy has to be broken down into priority. I'm going to flip it a little bit, right? When we think about full funnel, in actuality, what we start with is the bottom of funnel, right? You need to have proof that the SKU converts natively on the platform, that creators can actually sell it, and that your margins survive. Because there's no point in driving top line GMV if there's no money left in the bank, right? So those are the things that we look at. And then operations don't break. Once you have that baseline foundation, then we flip it around and we look at awareness as the middle and top of the funnel, right? Because awareness without that conversion piece, just a second, awareness without that conversion piece is just very expensive entertainment, right? So on TikTok Shop, I would say that you have to earn the right to go higher in the awareness funnel. And then at that stage, you want to make sure that you have creators that have winning hooks, creators that are consistent, the offers are in place, and the SKU bundles are in place. So we actually start bottom up to say, does this product work? Can we get it to convert? What is the awareness, or what are the hooks and the angles that work well? And then we flood the feed with a strategic sampling strategy that allows us to drive that awareness based on a solid foundation. Without a foundation, it's a lot of noise. With the foundation, you know you can convert profitably at smaller scale, and then you cascade into a full funnel strategy where you amplify everything and it still trickles down into conversions and then money in the bank. That's how we think about it.
If you guys were not taking down notes with old school pen and paper, or you have a Google Doc full by now, catching all this learning from Jeremy, I don't know. What are you even doing? Myah, I'm going to ask you the other version of that question, which I'm sure you get a lot of time. This question is basically, what is your day-to-day like?
Yeah. First of all, Jeremy, that was a great explanation of how you guys go about that. I really love that. At SEEQ, I think we kind of had to learn that the hard way. So brands, take note on that. But day to day, yeah, I'm gonna go a little bit deeper into like what the actual process of the funnel is. You're gonna want, if you're just getting started, you're absolutely gonna want some sort of like CRM bot, whether that's like a Euka or Kruva or whatnot, because that's gonna allow you to reach so many more creators and then pull them into your funnel. So you'll start with some sort of introductory. Maybe for those that you then approve a sample for, they move next to the funnel. But for us, what really worked was getting deeper into the actual relationship building, because again, as much as you want to reach out broadly to these creators, you do also want to develop relationships with some of those top sellers so that you can keep them within what I said before, becoming like a brand loyalist, right? So once they hit a certain point in the funnel, so let's say they got the sample, they are preparing to post their first video, pull them into your Discord. Also, if you don't have a Discord or some sort of like foundational base where your creators can go to, you're going to need that. But get them into your Discord, whether it's through incentives like, hey, we do a monthly giveaway if you join the Discord, or this is how we teach you to make money with our brand. Like, provide some sort of incentive that's going to show them like that this is the actual value of joining the Discord. Get them in there, and then from there you can really start building the relationship. You're posting multiple times a week in there, sharing what content's working and what's not. You're hosting giveaways or different leaderboard contests, things like that. And then provide a sense of like community and celebration. So if someone posts a really great video and it blows up, you're posting that in the Discord, and you're like, hey, so and so absolutely crushed this one. Everyone take notes, like try an iteration of this hook and whatnot. So I think that more so speaks to, someone had asked a question in the chat, what tactics help develop those relationships, but that's a lot of what our day-to-day is developing these relationships by pushing these people through the funnel and then pulling them into our tighter knit community.
I like that a lot, especially the point about recognizing good content when you see it and sharing that learning across with the content community. Now, Jeremy Ding, I have to ask you the inverse of this question. What are the choke points and the mistakes that people make when they're trying to recruit affiliates on TikTok Shop? Like, what are some of the key things that you see people flub all the time, and then they come to Euka and they have this expectation that, hey, I want to find TikTok Shop affiliates. I've been doing everything and I've not been successful and no one wants to work with me. What is it likely that they're doing wrong?
Yeah, I think maybe before I answer that question, I wanted to quickly share the stat to basically anchor like what Myah has said, right? In order to have a successful creator program, what's the goal here? Can I just share my screen quickly for like 5 seconds?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Here, I think you should have screen sharing permission. Jeremy came with notes.
All right. Can you see my screen here?
Yes, yes.
I think this will be interesting for you guys to see. So if you look at on TikTok Shop, right? If a shop doing like 100K to 500K, they have 800 creators actively posting videos per month. And
Mm.
on average, they have 2,300 videos posted per month. If we look at shops, bigger shops like doing more than $1 million, like $1 million to $2 million per month, they have like 4,300 creators like posting per month, and then they have like actually 7 times more videos posted per month. So in order to see what takes to be successful on TikTok Shop, right? And it's very important you have a creator retention program, you're a creator community, so that you can like actually get these creators to post consistently. It's not like you just give out some cute, samples here and there, and then it's called a day, right?
Yeah.
And this is it takes time. And I think a lot of brands and flop here is like, hey, they don't have a retention strategy. They don't have a community building strategy. They're just starting out, hey, we give samples and hopefully this creator can post like 5 videos, 10 videos for me, right? But the reality is they need the machine, they need a mechanism to incentivize those creators continuously along the journey and then be able to retain those high performance, probably that five to 10% of your creators actually are worth to invite them to drive to join your community. So the lot of things going on here that I think just a lot of
Yeah.
brands they don't really understand.
I
And then
like I like that stat you had right there on the chart, which showed that each creator posted, and it's just echoing what you were saying earlier, each creator posted at least 3 times per week. Like that's the average per creator, and they had 800 creators. And do you find, I'm just curious, do you find that stat is like reliable as you move into the higher revenue categories, GMV, like for brands doing 25 million plus in GMV? Is it still the same truth? The more creators you work with, the more content that you're posting, the higher the multiple?
yeah, I think that's have a very positive correlation. And actually, the multiple is higher. Like the creator is not
Hmm.
like, oh, you double your revenue on T-Dot Shop, but the creator might be like 5 times more, because actually the power law is so strong on T-Dot Shop. The more creators will wanted to work with you, and I think the jobs gets easier as you have like bigger, like more GMV on the shop. But fundamentally, I think there needs to be a playbook here, and then you wanted to execute your playbook, then let very very closely in order to get those creators to do that, and then yeah, and it takes a few months at least to get to a 100K from what I've seen so far.
That is actually kind of crazy. I think you just blew my mind. And this is what Noah and I were saying at the top of the call, is that you will like this is a field that changes so much. You have to be on top of it. So Maya, I did want to ask you a question, and then Taman, I have a really, really big one for you. So I want to give you time to answer that. But like, what formats or tactics are working right now for brands in your category that the audience can copy? Like, this is a question that we get a lot from brands who are like onboarding Social Snowball or are new to TikTok Shop. We get asked, okay, what are other brands in my category doing that works for them? What are you doing that brands can copy today that would work for them in your category and any other category? Some general learnings.
Yeah, absolutely. Going back to kind of what I said before, I think a really big piece that we had to figure out was how to actually get creators into our tighter knit community of the Discord, because these creators are getting hit with hundreds of messages every day from brands wanting to work with them, especially the higher level creators, right? And so, how do you stand out in this sea of overflooding messages?
Yes.
Was again getting really clear on like the value that coming into our community can bring the creator. Specifically in, we framed it as like, this is like our money lab. We're going to teach you how to make money with our brand, because at the end of the day, these creators are very money driven. They're going to go to the brands that have the highest commissions, that have the best conversion rates. So again, really showing them that this is how you're going to make money doing XYZ. And from there, we built out a content framework that essentially like spoon feeds these creators like X,
No
Y,
sink or
Z.
swim.
Like this is like, use this hook with this visual. We've done it in the past and it's generated X amount of GMV. So repeat the process, and then you just continuously like build this framework for them. And we've seen that work for especially creators who are maybe new coming into the scene and don't quite know where to start. A lot of these higher level creators, they
Yeah.
have their type of content framework. Like they know what works for them, but there's so many creators coming in every day that are just getting started who have the potential to become those top level creators. So we're showing them that, hey, we're putting in the time to actually teach you. This is what's worked for us.
Okay, I like that. I like that a lot. So this is something that any person who's listening here actually can go do today. This does not need to break the bank. I think also from based on what Jeremy F said and what Jeremy said and what Tamanna said, you need to have a plan to go into TikTok Shop. This seems to be the recurring theme. It is a fantastic channel. People are going on it for a reason. Folks are buying, consumer behavior are changing, but you just need to think it through. Speaking of which, Tamanna, we actually got this question in the chat, and I replaced it with one of my questions because I thought it was just great. So your advice heavily focused on like fast to ship products, like CPG products, things that you can easily do use to product seed. How do like these marketing strategies translate to a brand, for instance, that has a very high AOV, something with a considered purchase? And Jeremy F, I have the same question for you. Like the person who asked the question is like, you know, they make some like custom jewelry, I think. Does the approach change with your price point? Because I know like in the early days of TikTok Shop, folks were insanely concerned about it being, oh, it's the channel where everybody goes and buys cheap stuff. It's kind of like Timo, it's kind of like a Shein. It's very different, as we now know. And people are using it in conjunction with their DTC store in a very different approach from how they even use their Amazon marketplace. But like, how does the strategy change if you're selling something expensive or like a one-time purchase, like, you know, I don't know, a mattress or a bed or a sauna for your house?
Yeah, I think, should I take this one first?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So, and even before getting into this question, I actually wanted to just, you know, kind of just include something to what everyone else is saying. Before I move into this question, I just wanted to say, like at Triple Whale, we also see brands focus too much on follower count. I know this hasn't come up yet, but I think the better signal when you're finding some of these influencers and creators is just like conversion consistency. So if a creator can actually generate repeat sales across multiple posts, that's actually something we're building long term with them, because that reliability is going to matter so much more than that virality of it. But yeah,
you need a predictable program.
I thought of and I wanted to add. Oh, sorry.
You need a predictable program, right? It's not enough to have like 1 million followers. You want those 1 million followers to actually be engaged.
100%, exactly. And now going back to your question, I think we tend to see that products under about $75 are going to perform extremely well because they're impulse friendly. So if you're thinking about the customers who are on TikTok, generally speaking, like, you know, if you're relaxing on your couch at the end of the night and you're looking at your phone and you're scrolling on TikTok and all of a sudden, you know, you see a product in like the beauty or wellness or like I said before, you know, the problem solving products, those will do really well. And that also, those products also really translate naturally into creator content. So if I can give you a suggestion, having a product that's about $75 on TikTok and is an impulse buy, kind of fits into the beauty, wellness, or like problem solving category, those will do really well. And those will work really well with your creators.
I love that. And Jeremy F, same question to you, but I also wanted to append, like, because you get to see a wide view of clients just like Tamanna does. And Jeremy Ding as well would love to hear your thought on this. What product categories or price points are performing the best right now? This is the number one question that I'm getting. My own personal anecdotal evidence is, well, if you're selling supplements, then you just lay back and do nothing. The supplements will sell themselves. But we know for a fact that there are so many other brands and so many other categories, especially in the home goods category, which I wouldn't have expected, that do really well. And those price points are high. Like those couches sell for like $1,500. I know because I was looking for a couch. So what like just following up with what I asked Tamanna, like what product categories or price points would be ideal for TikTok Shop? And for folks who are outside those margins, outside those borders, is there hope for them, or should they just stick to the Shopify, Amazon playbook and retail playbook that they've been doing up until now?
Yeah, 100%. So the categories that are doing well are ones you would think, right? So like health and wellness, beauty, skincare, makeup, hair care, those types of things. The price ranges are usually between $30 to $80, but I want to level up and I'm going to speak to you as if you were a client, right? So there are levels to the game. First, there's the impulse buy, right? Those are easy. I'm going to tap that in. I'm going to go ahead and purchase. No sweat off my back. I'm not going to think about that. And those products are there. And if you have products like that in your suite, then I would lean there first. I would use what we call a hero product strategy. And we're really talking 1 to 3 products that you can focus on, flood the feed, get the social proof, and then roll in the rest. Don't launch with 100 products on TikTok Shop. You're going to find yourself in a very interesting meeting at the end of 90 days. So that's one aspect. But I'm going to give you all some inside sauce since we're talking. If you're looking at a higher price point, one layer of strategy that everybody needs to consider is measuring the impact of TikTok Shop success across other channels, right? So if you have a higher price point item, what does success on TikTok Shop look like for your D2C brand? Look like for your Amazon sales? Look like for your retail sales? You can use TikTok Shop as a discovery platform to your family in terms of looking for that couch. I'm looking for a mattress myself. This is a place where you can where customers discover the brands first, but they may not buy. You will get a certain amount of purchase volume from TikTok Shop, but a major blind spot that every single brand needs to be addressing when they're on TikTok Shop is how that influenced every single other channel, even down to your brand search going right back into your D2C. You need to have a measurement methodology in place so you can see the total impact of that investment, whether you're only going to focus on TikTok Shop and analyze the impact everywhere else, or chess move here, you're leveraging the content and the creator relationships and deploying that content on the other channels. That's how you maximize and create exponential impact when it comes to TikTok Shop. So higher price point item, look at your holistic ecosystem before you ever start running on TikTok Shop, and then put base marks in place and have a measurement methodology that says we scaled to X amount on TikTok Shop. Where else did we move the needle on our other platforms? And then measure that lift as a part of the model that you have on your strategy to say, here was my investment, here's my outcome. A portion of that will be on TikTok Shop. Another portion will be on Amazon. Another will be on D2C as well as retail. That's how we would approach higher price point items, and every brand needs to be thinking about it that way.
Boom, mic drop. So Jeremy, I want to ask you the other Jeremy. I want to ask you the other side of that question. So Euka works with like thousands of clients. What are the categories? And a lot of recruiting of the affiliates we spoke has to do with the approach, with you knowing who to target. But like, what are the categories that you see affiliates being excited to work with? Like, what are like some? I'm sure like if you have a home goods client and a supplement brand client that join at the same time and onboard, they'd be like, oh well, the one who sells supplement might have an easier time of it finding creators, so long as the strategy is sound. But what are some of like the brands that you've seen and the price points that you've seen that gotten affiliates thinking, yeah, no, I want to be in their program and I want to start promoting their products?
Yeah, I think that ALV is probably not the biggest kind of concern for a lot of creators, because
Oh,
creators
wait,
just see
interesting.
the dollar sign, right? Like whether I
Right.
can make money out of this product. This is like basically what I think about when they like, look at different opportunities. And then I think for brands, if you have a really good brand awareness, like if you have a big brand, people knows you, and you can easily get creators to want to work with you, even if you offer a lower, commission rate, maybe your AOV is a little bit higher. Like for example, we work with Short Ninja. Their products like more than $100, $200, whatever, right?
Yeah.
But creators still wanted to work with them because they know this product can sell. And then they, although the commission rate is pretty low, but I think that's just one thing that creators will be excited about, like bigger brand. Secondly, just
Yeah.
like aggressive commission rate. A lot of bigger creators, they might not looking for retainer deals, right? Because
Mhm.
instead of getting like a few $100 plus like 5% commission rate, they rather to get like 20% commission rate with no flat rate, right? Because
Yeah.
they know they're gonna sell, they wanted to have higher commission. So I think there are a lot of things that are put into consideration from creator perspective, and AOV is important or not important. It really depends on product. But from the creator side, they will have a calculation. Hey, given this product, whether this AOV plus commission makes sense for me, right? For the long run. And another things that are very important, I've heard a lot of kind of feedback from our creators is that how brand treat them
Mm.
in their program. Do they just like send some random VAs to talk to them, or like actually they welcome them into the community? They have founders there, talk to them, they educate them, they share the tips, hooks, setting points, whatever. So those things are the details in your program. Let's just be a human, right? Like being able to communicate well, and those
Yeah.
stuff is very very important for creators. Especially when you are working with like L4, L5, L6 creators, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's something a lot of brands just can't fulfill. They don't know what it takes to do on TikTok Shop at this point.
And that's the major theme. I love how like we have four different perspectives. We have the brand, we have the agency, we have the tech for outreach, and then we have the tech for analytics. And they're all echoing the exact same point. How your relationship with the creator pans out a lot of times has to do with how you are treating the creators and how you're approaching that relationship. And on that question, Myah and Jeremy F, I had another question for you. And this is another one that we get a lot of times and a lot of brands are worried about. Tamanna and Jeremy Ding, I also would love to hear like what your insights are on this and what your suggestion for brands are. So on Social Snowball, because we got in this question so much, we actually built a separate landing page with a calculator showing folks how they should like think of commissions when it comes to D2C and TikTok Shop affiliates when they're starting out. But the number one question we get is, hey, you know what? I'm paying for the discount codes. I'm paying for the commission fees. I'm paying the seller fees. I'm paying transaction costs on Shopify. How do I structure my affiliate deal in a way that makes sense for my margins? Myah, what are some of the things that you keep top of mind at SEEQ to make sure that, okay, you know what, I want to incentivize the creators well. I want them to feel like the better you perform, the more you are rewarded. But at the same time, I have a business here to run.
Yeah, and I'm going to be so honest with the audience here. That was a huge blocker for us first starting. We set our commissions way too low because we were a startup and it just wasn't going to work with our margins. So I think we started at like 10% commission, which is not going to fly for these affiliates. On average in the health and wellness space, commission is 15 to 30-ish probably, sometimes even higher depending on the brand if they have just bigger cash flow, right? So that was something we've really had to learn and test. We've landed on like 15 to 25% commissions, depending on kind of the level of creator. So for some of our top sellers that we've pulled into our community, we reward them by kind of pushing them through these tiers of commission structures. Another thing we found just to essentially get more bang for our buck is putting a lot of these top sellers onto a retainer, where we're paying them a monthly fee, but we get usage rights to their content. Going back to, I think, what Jeremy said, one of the Jeremys of repurposing that content on your other platforms. So that kind of, kills two birds with one stone. But I hear you on the TikTok Shop.
So you're saving money on another side while
exactly.
And so did you start, just as a question for SEEQ, obviously I know the answer, but like, did you start with the performance base only and then you introduced the tiers? Did you start with the tiers and then you decided to introduce the flat payments, or did you have an idea of what the structure would look like before you even began?
We did not have an idea of what the structure would look like before we started, but recommend brands having an idea. We've tested all of these things. So much of our experience on TikTok Shop has just been testing and learning as we go. You're probably going to get more affiliates into your community if you introduce those tiers right away. Like, hey, if you hit X amount of GMV, your commission is going to be bumped to this. From there, because we have limited budget in terms of our retainers, we have to be really picky about who we are introducing to our retainers. So we don't make it like super widely known, like, hey, if you do really well, we might put you on a retainer. That has worked for some brands. For us, we got to be so diligent on these creators. So would definitely recommend introducing the tiers, offering more of an incentive based on those commission prices. And it's just a matter of if your brand has a large budget to bring in 100 creators on a retainer, absolutely make that known. If you can only afford to have 10 on a retainer, then yeah, for us, it's become more of a very exclusive community. But for those creators that do make it into that retainer, they're very motivated because it's like top of the top,
Yeah, no, I like that. Jeremy F.
So you asked one of my favorite questions, because 2 years ago, we started building mathematical models that looked at how many creators we need to sample with, what GMV they need to produce by video, what the open rate of a message. We go deep. All right, so I'm going to give you the learning across X number of brands and millions of revenue generated to help you out. And also a level mindset in terms of that tiering piece. We think about creators as a portfolio, right? And the creators where you want to be more aggressive, and I'll talk about timeline as well. When you're first starting out, you want to flood the market with as many videos as possible, but everybody from our perspective doesn't get a flat rate. You want to be attractive to creators the way you rank them, but also be able to get a level of volume. So you might have your open plan at a specific commission, but you have top tier creators that get something ridiculous out of the gate, like a 30% commission. That won't be forever, right? But the strategy is to acquire the creator, create that relationship, relationship drive that GMV. And there's this tidal wave that happens because if you're new to the brand, new to the platform, you may have had 20 years of lifetime of brand, but they don't know you on TikTok, right? So your first step is to acquire great creators and relationships there, and you're going to strategically tier your commissions against those creators. And that may be high up front. So you'll have top creators that have a really great commission. Maybe that's 25, 30%, something ridiculous that makes them think, oh my goodness, amazing product, amazing commission. I have to try it out. And you've created an amazing product to begin with, so they're going to work with you long term. You check that box. Then you have creators where you're just on your open plan. They've come to you and they've seen that creators are driving GMV. So the social proof is there. That also means there's a premium, kind of like your luxury brand can mark up the price on a product. You've created social proof, so your commission doesn't have to be as high because people want to hop on that wave. So that might be 10 or 15%, 17%, depending on what that looks like. That might be open plan. But my overall approach is understanding the value of the creators you want, understanding where you are in your life cycle. At the beginning, you're going to pay a premium, but what you're paying is not only creators, but the social proof that your product can sell on TikTok Shop. From that window, then you go out into more of a mass strategy where you can lower that commission, but creators are coming in like Jeremy, my other Jeremy said, they're looking at the dollars that they can make. So you've proven that people are making dollars. Your commission is just a calculation. Let's just give them something reasonable, but you know you're going to push volume through, right? Because you 80% commission on a product that sells once is not interesting. 15 to 20% on a product that's going to sell 300 times, now you've got a creator. So I would look at those things. Where are you at in the life cycle? If you're at the start, you're going to pay a premium, but think about it strategically. You need that social proof. And then you can tier that down in terms of your mass outreach and creator commission that you pay once the creators can see and they're checking whether your product sells. And then you have that cohort, to Maya's point, where you're paying them a premium because they drive higher GMV. But all of that should be calculated to your bottom line and not, I'm going to say this with honesty and wonderfulness, and not because it's good to have a higher commission, but because you've calculated out your contribution margin down to the cent and you know how much you can afford to pay. That's both attractive, but also make sure you leave money in the bank. So tier it out, understand where you are in your life cycle of it, and then let it evolve as you get traction on the platform.
I love that. I feel like we got so many quotable moments from you. And if you guys are not booking calls with Adquadrant right now, I don't know what you're doing. We do have a minute for some time for some quick questions. I do want to take some audience questions. So Jeremy, Euka, somebody asked to find the best creators when using TikTok affiliate, open and target collaborations. Is it necessary to also use TikTok Marketplace?
I mean, you can use TikTok Shop Marketplace to look for specific creators, just look at their stats, whatever. But like for within Yuka, you can do a lot of things already, right? You don't have to use the TikTok Shop Creator Marketplace. It really depends on what you wanted to do. If you want to just like, hey, find the right creators to reach out to them for collaboration, you can just Yuka, or you can, if you want to do handpick creators and send them like DMs one by one, and yeah, I think TikTok Shop Marketplace will be good for you.
Amazing. Tamanna, what is the best way to measure lift? Someone just asked that. That's a big question. You have to book a call with Tamanna to get the full answer, but give us a teaser, give us a taste.
Yeah, you know what? I think the biggest thing is actually having a place to actually track all your metrics. So, I mean, come chat with me. I put my LinkedIn in the chat, but I'll put it in there again. We provide basically a full comprehensive platform that gives you all your metrics all in one place. So if you have like a million different tabs open and you want to know all your attribution data and you want to see where you're spending your money, where you're making your money, and so much more, come and chat with me because I think that's important. You don't want to guess your numbers. You want to actually have a solid data foundation where you can make strategic moves, basically. Don't guess. There's so much data out there, and I know it's super hard to actually sift through all of it, but we make that really, really easy. So yeah, please.
So definitely connect with Tamanna and the Triple Whale team. They have a very, very cool integration with TikTok Shop. I guess last question goes to actually Jeremy Ding and Jeremy F. Somebody had the same question for both of you. Where do you see people waste the most money on TikTok Shop? Where are brands wasting the most money?
Jeremy, you want to go first on that one?
I think two things. One is just sampling the wrong creators in the beginning. And I think that's just like one of the biggest like waste of money. Secondly, just like run GME max too early. If you don't have enough volume, you start like putting ads behind it, it's not gonna span. And then like the video to span on, it's not gonna drive sales. So I think those two things kind of go hand in hand, but those are the two things that we've seen in the market right now.
So if you haven't noticed already, I'm really heavy on our contribution margin. Like that's where we start. Before we ever touch TikTok Shop, we're looking at your product breakdown, we're looking at your costs, we're looking at profitability. And I would say where brands waste the most money, and it's a similar answer to Jeremy, is sampling, but not because it's not good to send samples. It's because there's no view into how many samples you can send a month. And I'm gonna give you a spoiler alert. It's not just 500 because that's what we can afford. It's like how, right? So you
Yeah.
have to reverse engineer what your profitability is, what your cost per sample is, the shipping cost on samples. We break down all of that, and then we back into a number that makes sense for the brand. So you can make it rain with samples all day, and then wonder why you're not profitable, or even if creators are generating revenue, it's not enough. We don't even enter the building until we have our math in place, and we don't waste money on samples. We are intentional about what they can deliver. Obviously, we can't predict the future, but we have a very intelligent estimation of how it's going to happen. So you burn money on samples, you burn money on ad spend, make sure your numbers are tight, and then go dominate TikTok. You'll be 100 miles ahead of everybody else.
Amazing. Thank you guys so much. You made it an incredible panel.